Oh, I should have put a trigger warning. All right, here we go. Trigger warning, discussion about drugs and alcohol. Hello, hi, my name is Arlene Bishop. I'm a performing singer-songwriter, and not too long ago I found out I'm autistic and that I have ADHD, and here I am in my studio exploring what it means to be an artist on the spectrum, exploring what it means to unmask, exploring my coping mechanisms. Yeah, so many coping mechanisms, which I think maybe are also masks sometimes. Are masks? Can masks be coping mechanisms at the same time? Probably. Actually, yes, probably. Let's put a little pin in that. Let's put a little asterisk in that and review that later. What do you think? Anyway, what was I talking about? I wanted to talk about coping mechanisms. Oh, I wanted to talk about earlier ones. Oh yeah, this answers the question for me about masks. Earlier, back in the day, when I was a young person, wanting to go out and be with people because that's what my young people did in the 80s and 90s. I'm a Gen Xer. We went out to clubs, and we drank the alcohol. We drank beer. And you know how it works, that people get older and they drink less and they only drink every now and then. They only drink at special occasions. But other people drink whenever they can. Or they binge drink. I was a bit of a binger. I was a binge drinker. Yeah. I could not drink for a long time. But if I went out with people and drinks were being had, I would drink a lot. And I look back now, I realize that what was going on was it was a social lubricant, of course. It helped me to mask. It helped me to be comfortable and to not get overwhelmed and to keep bubbly, to keep up, to keep outgoing. Easier for me to be outgoing and entertaining than to be something else. If I could be outgoing and entertaining and funny and charming and clever, that was the way that I could cope. But eventually, drinking wasn't good for me. I didn't like being hungover. It just wasn't good for me. I could see in other people that they were abusing alcohol. I could see the potential for me to abuse alcohol, easily to abuse alcohol. I could see how I was falling into it. And so I decided instead I would smoke drugs instead. Oh, I should have put a trigger warning. All right, here we go. Trigger warning, discussion about drugs and alcohol. Smoking the weed. Or back in the early days, it was smoking the hash. Oh yeah, nobody had weed. Nobody had marijuana. Everybody had hashish. Oh, yeah, I'm dating myself. This was back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. These are the drug logs. Everyone, open up your drug logs and let's review when drugs were popular. Anyway, then weed became a thing. And for me, this was my strategy so that I didn't have to drink anymore. I could smoke weed instead. And then I could be not hungover, not messy. I could just be relaxed and calm. And that's the key right there. Boom, boom. The fact that I needed and I wanted to be relaxed and calm. Out with my friends, out with my community. Why did I need to be relaxed and calm when I'm out with people? Well, it's because I was autistic and I didn't know it. I was overwhelmed so much of the time. So, smoking weed didn't make me more clever. I couldn't be clever. I couldn't be charming. It slowed me down, slowed my brain down, which was good for what turns out to be my ADHD because too much was happening. But it also slowed me down, dampened me down, shut me down creatively. I used to think there was a short window when I believed that I was more creative. No, maybe, but I couldn't capture it. I couldn't capture that creativity. I could never write what I was thinking. I could never record what I was thinking. I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't execute my creative ideas when I was under the influence of the Mary Jane. I did write a song about it called Mary Jane Receiving. You won't find it anywhere, though. Yeah, I'm a recording artist. Did I talk about that? Singer-songwriter, performing, recorded a bunch of records. 7 records. Yeah, 7 records. And the videos about them. And my last record, Coping Mechanism, which is the music that you hear underneath things, was during the period that I understood that I started to learn that I'm autistic, and I got my assessment, and then I found out I had ADHD. And one of the symptoms was that I couldn't speak anymore. I couldn't sing. I couldn't express myself. So I made this instrumental album because I still needed to create things that needed to still come out. But that's not what I was talking about. That's not one of my masks. That's who I am. I did worry. I have worried about whether or not being a musician is a mask, but it's not. It's who I am. I am an artist. It is me. I am an artist. It makes me anxious to think that I'm not an artist. I am an artist. Okay, now what am I talking about? Oh yeah. Alcohol, drugs. So then those things then I stopped smoking weed. I went to 12-step, which was helpful. Helpful to find other people who didn't want to smoke either and what they were doing. Yeah. And classic me, I could fit right in. Wear a mask, fit right in. But it was helpful. I would recommend it. My higher power was the universe. For anybody who's looking for a higher power, other than the conventional 2 million that are available. What am I talking about? Oh yeah. I think actually, what was I talking about? Was I talking about crutches? Did I call it crutches? Because I think I maybe crutches, masks, coping mechanisms. And recently, I turned 60, which kind of on the lifeline also means for me that menopause has happened, meant that my hormones changed, my chemicals changed once again, which is one of the reasons why people get diagnosed later in life with ADHD because of the hormonal changes. And I started putting on weight at an uncomfortable rate. It was a problem. It's a problem. Because the conventional means of not putting on weight isn't working anymore. So I'm having to do different things. I'm having to learn different things. And I'm dealing with PDA along the way. Persistent desire for autonomy, pathological demand avoidance. So I know there are things that I should be doing. And one of the things that I should be doing is not eating some of the foods that I like, but I'm autistic. And it turns out that my safe foods, the foods that I, given my choice, I would eat every day. The same, right? I don't know how many there are. I should make a list and figure out how many there are. It's a pretty limited list of foods that I like, that I enjoy consistently. Some of them aren't good for me, like potato chips, or for my friends across the globe, crisps. Oh, I do enjoy a good crisp. I do. And in fact, when I'm burnt out, when I'm having a flare-up, a burnout flare-up, when I've got a stupid headache happening, when I'm stuck to my bed because burnout happens when you mask too much, my only safe food was potato chips. So for 48 hours, I wouldn't eat or drink water unless potato chips could be part of the equation. But they're not very good for me. You know, the serving suggestion for potato chips is like 11 chips, which isn't, how much of a potato is that? A quarter of a potato? It's not a lot of a potato. I guess it depends on the size of the potato. But anyway, chips, crisps, not good for me. Oh, I guess I got to cut them out. Oof, that's hard. That's hard. Chocolate gives me headaches anyway. So white chocolate, okay, white chocolate. Oh, but it's not good for me. But it's a safe food. Oh well, okay. Yeah. So, sweets. I was never much of a sweet person before, but then I discovered, some of my safe foods are sweets. Yep, I love a gummy. I love a chewy candy. Yum, 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 yum. And if it's fruit flavored, I'm eating fruit, I tell my brain. Why am I describing this in such detail? Why am I so lovingly describing food? Because it's a coping mechanism. It's a thing for me. I used to think that TV was my oldest friend. My oldest and dearest friend was TV. Well, my other oldest and dearest friend is food. Yummy food. I love it so much. In fact, over the course of my life, I have designed one of the best things ever. And I wonder, does anybody else do this? Do you do this thing? Here it is. Ready? When I have a dish of whatever it is, whatever my delightful, safe food is, I organize it. I eat it in such a way, working towards the last bite. Because the last bite is the best bite. The last bite has to have the right proportions of the savory and the sweet and the soft and the crunchy. If there's any kind of spice in there, that's whatever the bad texture is has to be gone. Just the good texture. If it's a combination of foods, that the ratios might change, right? It's going to be weighted one kind of food more than the other. If there's a sauce involved, not too wet. The last bite is delightful. So let's say about around the last 10 bites, that's when you got to start keeping an eye open for my family who are like, gonna have a taste. Whoa, okay. The 10 bite window, that's it. 5 bites, nope. Nobody's getting a taste of anything. And nobody's using my fork. Nobody's going to use my fork and give it back to me and I'm going to use that fork. Nope. Not even the baby I made can use my fork and then I'm going to use it. Yuck. I don't go by that kind of germ warfare. All right. So now we're in the 5 bite window. Then the 3 bite window. Very important stage. Very important. This is where the ratios are the most important. And this is where, if you got a faulty food, man, this is tragedy, right? Like if for some reason like blueberry is part of the component, say in a salad, I do like blueberry in a salad. You get a bad blueberry, like a dull one, or a super tart one. Oh, yeah, blueberries are tricky. I like a good consistent food. I don't think I'm the only one here who likes a good consistent food. What was I talking about? I'm fantasizing about food. Maybe it's time for lunch. Possibly. What was I talking about? Oh, food as a coping mechanism. So there it is. So do I deal with food? Do I use food the same way I used 20 years ago, the same way I used alcohol or drugs? Maybe. I'm sure there's a school of thought that says yes. There is an Overeaters Anonymous meeting I could go to, but I am not going to that because I love food. Oh, and don't leave a mean comment about, yeah, obviously you do, look at you. Please don't leave that comment. Fat jokes are the worst. Fat jokes are the worst. Even the worst person on the planet, there's no point making a fat comment about them. Just criticize them for their policies and their behaviors, not for their body. It's just not relevant. Anywho, food. Yeah, so food. My last coping mechanism. My last bite. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, what about you? Have you got a food thing? Did you have a drug, alcohol, food thing? Is that some kind of triumvirate? Wow, that was a fancy use of a word. Was that the correct use of the word? Triumvirate? Triumvirate? That's not a real word. You know when you say a word over and over? I don't think that's really a word. Triumvirate. No, now I've really made it up. Totally made that up. Maybe it's not a triumvirate. Maybe it's a quadumvirate. A quad. Oh, I'm trying to make a square thing. Because maybe media is in there. I love media. It's another coping mechanism. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to diss media. I love my friend the TV. TV and movie. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, that's not the right sound effect for TV and movie. I don't know what it is. Watch. Well, thank you for watching all this way. Please leave a comment. Leave a nice little thumbs uppy thing. Help me get out there. Because it's lonely here in my studio. And I need other people. And I really do appreciate you. You thank you. And I thank you. You take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of myself. And I'm going to see you soon, all right? See you soon. Bye-bye. Triumvirate? Triumvirate? That's not a real word. You know when you say a word over and over? I don't think that's really a word. Triumvirate. No, now I've really made it up. I've totally made that up.